afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 34th Annual California Small Farm Conference. If you've been sticking with us so far at this conference, welcome back. If this is your first workshop, welcome to the big show. My name is Evan Wigg. I'm with Community Alliance of Family Farmers, CAF, and I'm really excited to have you all here. If you are looking for the lightning sessions, this day's theme is equity and diversity. If you're looking for that, you're in the right place. I just want to start off by saying a huge thanks to all of our presenters, especially for this round, the lightning session. It's a bit of a challenge to try to present with that kind of speed, but it's actually a lot of fun. Moves really fast, but it's super engaging, and you're going to learn a lot over just the next half hour or so. And you're going to hear some really cool voices talking about a number of different topics. Also want to give a big thanks to all the conference organizers, as well as our sponsors who help make this event possible. At the end of this webinar, you're going to see a little evaluation pop up. You just want to take a couple of seconds after to fill that out. Let us know what you think. We'd love to get that feedback. Helps us craft next year's conference. And last, if you have, feel free to use the chat for the attendees, that is. If you want to introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're coming from, what your interests are in today's topic, or share resources, comments, just a little woo-woo for our presenters who are putting themselves out on the line to try to do this lightning format. So kudos to them, and let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to start off with Carmen and Thea, who are going to be talking about some CDFA programs related to equity from the Office of Equity. So why don't we begin with you? I'm going to get y'all queued up here. All right. And Thea, Carmen, why don't you take it away?
Great, good afternoon, everyone. I'll go ahead and start. Thea Rittenhouse, Farm Equity Advisor with CDFA. And today we're very quickly going to try to introduce and talk about some of the program diversity and equity at CDFA and the Farm Equity Program. And I'm joined today by Carmen Carrasco, who is the Small Farm Liaison, also within the Farm Equity Program at CDFA. And we're really happy to be here and really excited to share some of the programs that are available at CDFA, but also talk really briefly about the background of the Farm Equity Act and where we are right now and where we're going as a state agency serving farmers and ranchers across the state. And I believe the slide, oh, there we go. So first off, talking briefly about the Farm Equity Act. If you haven't heard of it before, in 2017, this legislation was passed. And very importantly, it did a couple of things. It defined a socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher, and it recognized and stated that state agencies, and specifically the Department of Food and Agriculture, have historically not included access for underserved groups within our programs, policies, communications, and these groups have not had equal access to the services that we provide. And as a part of that legislation, there was also a report written in 2020 about those main recommendations, what has historically happening and what are the major barriers. And this is very fast, and I'm not doing a very good job at covering this quickly. So
you're doing
where
great.
we now is that we are aligning and shifting as an agency. And of course, this takes time, but some of the major milestones that we've accomplished so far and that we're still working on related to the report and the legislation are ensuring that farmers' voices are included and guiding our programs and policies. And one way that we've done that is through the BIPOC Farmer Advisory Committee. Another way that we've done that is through shifting and prioritizing direct farmer assistance in our grant programs and services that we provide. and ensuring that we're prioritizing funding as it's needed. Now here, very quickly, are some of the programs that CDFA has, the grant programs available for farmers that have prioritization for socially disadvantaged groups, including the Office of Farm to Fork, which has a Farm to School program, many of our Climate Smart Ag programs, and others that have that will be coming within this year, that as an agency, we're trying to balance historical investments in agriculture with ensuring that the most vulnerable and historically underrepresented groups have priority in receiving this funding, and how are we as an agency making sure that those groups have the ability to access and receive that funding. And Carmen is going to quickly talk about another examples of this program, which is the CUSP program. Carmen, quickly over to you.
Yes, hi, thank you, Thea. This is the CUSP grant program, which is available through this link on the main CDFA website. It is currently, it's a part 1 grants for it's technical assistance for underserved producers and farmers throughout the state, and part 2 grants are direct farmer grants. Both of these programs are currently open. We just finalized a second round of funding for the part 2 grants, and also updated the list of providers through the website. We have 4 different main partners right now. You can see them there and get more information on CUSP directly through the website, or if you reach out to us directly, I can give you more details. This is some of the data that we have been able to gather through the first round of CUSP funding. So you can see the advancement made through the program, close to $800,000 that were distributed to farmers and ranchers throughout the state. And you know, the program has been intentional of serving underrepresented farmers, farmers of color, and then these are some of the regions where the funding went to. Again, the second round of funding is currently open, and also we have technical assistance providers for this and other economic marketing and business support throughout the state, from the southern counties to all the way to the north area of the state. And this is the contact information for the Farmer Equity Program. Thea's email address and phone number, direct line, and also my email address and direct office line are there. If you have any questions or need more individual support, please reach out, and we'll be happy to provide that also through the question sessions here. Thank you so much.
Great. Sorry that was so fast.
That was fast. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you guys aren't familiar, it's a really important and I would say groundbreaking program at CDFA. And I think some of the cool, the background behind this is it wasn't so much just the agency coming up with this idea. It really was the product of farmers and local organizers who got together and asked for this. And so this is the result of a lot of work and folks on the ground asking for this and really trying to push CDFA to acknowledge equity and to try to build equity into its program. So really, really cool, really innovative. And it's something I hope to see replicated around the state as California being an example for others to follow. So since it was a little quicker than I was anticipating, any last words there, Thea, you want to throw in there? I'm sure you missed a couple of things there.
I'm sure I missed a lot of things, Evan, but I appreciate this brief opportunity to give an introduction, and Carmen and I will also be presenting tomorrow in the Spanish language track and a little more in-depth look at some of our programs, but really just to say that we're just getting started in our work, and reiterating what Evan said about it couldn't be possible without the partners that we have worked with, some of whom are also panelists today. And just that, we have a vision and goal of what this might look like down the road, and we're just really getting started in this work. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you much, Thea. Kellee, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. So Kellee, we're going to be talking about community culture and seeds. So thanks so much for being here with us. And I'm going to cue you up here. Sorry, 1 second.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share today. It's an honor to be sharing the stories of our community. I work with Second Generation Seeds, a collective of Asian American farmers that works to preserve and steward seeds significant to the Asian diaspora. I live and farm on unceded territory of the Awaswas-speaking Ayupi tribe, currently stewarded by the Amamutsun tribal band. I'm an educator and farmer at the UC Santa Cruz farm. At the farm, you can usually find me in the greenhouse or focusing on seed work. And last week was the 80th anniversary of Executive Order 9066, incarcerating over 120,000 Japanese across the West Coast. Japanese farmers were producing a significant amount of produce at that time, and actually nearly 40% of the produce for California, which actually led the USDA to worry about potential food shortages. So on Day of Remembrance, I think about the incredible legacy of Japanese farming on the West Coast, but also the impact of land loss for the community. How does land loss impact the ability of a community to retain its identity, preserve its culture, and create community health? What happens when we lose the farmers of our communities? So I work to understand how seed has been systematically removed from communities, how these patterns continue today, and how to support people to disrupt skills to disrupt these patterns that resist erasure of cultural identity, memory, and grow community health. So Second Generation Seeds began as a project of Kristen Leach at Namu Farm, Troy and Daughters Farm, and became a collective of Asian American growers in 2019. So we hope to sustain, preserve, and expand knowledge of growing, cultivating, and preparing traditional and culturally significant varieties of seed for the Asian diaspora. What we do, we work to acknowledge contributions of Asian American farmers, improve access to seed, unmonolith our crops, situate foods in their cultural context, create pathways for community-informed participatory breeding, and create accessible and culturally relevant grower resources. Asian American farmers brought their expert knowledge to the berry, citrus, flower, and fresh vegetable industries across California and farm worker and labor rights movements. Though agriculture has always been a source of resilience and innovation for the Asian community, this has not always been recognized. So we strive to uplift that history and keep it present. We work to increase seed availability and quality for Asian farmers, improving access to seeds of our communities to be in relationship with. For our communities, many culturally important and traditional varieties of seed are just not available in the US, or if available, are limited in quality or reliability. For a select number of Asian crops, there's increased recognition and desirability in the dominant culture of them, with them being viewed as healthy or desirable. However, these modern varieties are often bred for performance, uniformity, size, and shape in isolation from their origins, excluding important cultural or culinary traits. A limited understanding of a crop's cultural significance, usage, or context causes folks to make uninformed decisions about breeding, naming, marketing, and even sales. The prolific hybridization of Asian vegetables, especially in the brassica family, has had a significant impact of the ability to build seed sovereignty for Asian farmers. So we work to push back against the monolithing that occurs for Asian vegetables, as well as for our communities, by expanding understanding of the diversity and richness of Asian crops and making visible the rich and complex narratives that are part of our ancestral seed heritage. This looks like promoting the ethical sale and distribution of Asian seeds. Last year in our Seed Stewards programming, I explored growing some of the many Asian radishes that provide sustenance and survival for our communities that go beyond the assumed Japanese daikon radish. Each of these varieties have unique properties, applications, and uses to different communities of the Asian diaspora. We work to situate crops in their cultural context, which starts with understanding the nuance and diversity of specific crop varieties and how they are used within different communities of the Asian diaspora, what stories they each carry, and what makes each variety distinct and unique. We ask, who gets to shape and define narratives of seeds? How do we prevent the erasure of their stories and origins? Such as with the Shin Mei radish, when Asian vegetables are marketed in a way to appeal to upper class white audiences as healthy, beautiful, or superfoods, yet are detached from their stories and origins. Our collective works to expand and build new pathways for ongoing participatory and community-informed breeding efforts. So part of this work is thinking about how we engage community more closely along the entire cycle of crop breeding, seed saving and selection, growth, harvesting, and ultimately eating. We work to engage community directly with crops during trials, selection, tasting, and often these are folks that are typically excluded from being involved in traditional breeding programs. The goal is that our work and seed stewardship is directly informed by the desires, knowledge, and preferences of community. We work to also advocate for the production of culturally relevant and inclusive growing resources that address the crops that are important to our communities. We are starting with creating some of these resources ourselves, such as our step-by-step grower guides for a selection of crops, including perilla, soybean, Asian chili peppers. Some of the ways that we connect all these threads is through our Seed Stewards program on the Mighty Networks platform. For instance, we have virtual field walks, farmer-to-farmer exchanges, cook-alongs to connect chefs to growers and community, interviews, articles, and opportunities for growers to engage in various seed projects and more. While one of our goals is to preserve culturally important seeds that are adapted, resilient, and suited for a multitude of places, we're also working to create a decentralized seed network that will keep seed as a living resource, which looks like a strong network of growers invested in one another and a larger community that is growing a connection to their seeds and their stories. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kellee. That was wonderful. And yeah, if you want to find out more information, can we, do you have some links or anything you can share in the chat?
Sure, I can share our website, secondgenerationseeds.com.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here. Next up, we've got Tamu and Adam and Nelson. So I'm going to get you guys, hey there, Adam. I'm going to get you guys set up here. Go. All right, U-Farm and home development concept. It's an incredibly exciting project, and very excited to learn more about it. Let's do it, guys.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Nelson. I'm a part of this U-Farm and home development concept, as well as my brother Tamu and Adam X, and we'll get into the details a little bit later. But overall, the concept is a worker-owned farmer independent producer cooperative where people who are land ready, who need access to land and land tenure can get going on this land, as well as a farm worker training program and our housing as well. I'll pass it off to Tamu.
Yes, so yeah. So ultimately, yeah, we are different members all throughout California. We got the Elder Roosevelt, who is everyone knows him. Myself, I'm new into this agricultural space. Nelson, urban agriculture. Brandy, brother Adam Jones, John Garside. Ultimately, we are a culmination of different farmers all throughout California who come together to be able to make sure that we can bridge this gap between urban agriculture and between rural agriculture, I would say is the word, Ultimately, our foundation stems from us coming together, myself, Nelson Roosevelt, being on the BIPOC advisory committee and wanting to figure out how do we take it upon ourselves to do something. We can't just wait for people. It's up to us to empower ourselves. It's up to us to come together and create projects that can get funded and that we can be an inspiration to our community. Go ahead, Nelson. Next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some images of our urban farm in West Sacramento, unceded Patwin lands. We got Brother Tamu on the left, and Roosevelt's on the right. So he's really the brainchild behind this. He's our elder. He's had this vision in place, and have our group amongst ourselves to materialize it. So we got this piece of land in West Sacramento. It's about 300 acres. 220 of those acres are irrigated. We got Sister Brandy Mack on the left right here, Brother Adam Jones, Adam X right here on the right. And we're just, going through our working team. So amongst ourselves, like Tamu was saying, we're really addressing a lot of the equity issues that came out in the CDFA Farmer Equity Report, and really doing it amongst ourselves so that we can do for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. So the Farmer Equity Act is ultimately, the foundation of our work. We all understand the disparities of land tenure. As if you all have read the report, I would advise you to read the equity report. The number one issue is land tenure, long-term land tenure, and land access. So we are coming together to figure out how do we address that. And also, as we also have seen, the least percentage of farmers are Black people. So people identify as Black or African American to whatever capacity. So how do we make sure that we impact that as well? And how do we not necessarily limit it to our own people, but definitely make sure that we do address this specific need that, as we see, is we have around 1% of land tenure in this country. And it's up to us to actively address that, and then ultimately definitely put things in place for everyone who wants to be a farmer and wants to get involved. But definitely it is up to us to make sure that we don't gloss over the reality of our own conditions in our own communities.
And to add to that real quick too, juxtaposing the reality that we're at right now with less than 2% of land ownership being those of the African diaspora, where over a century ago, nearly just a century ago, we had 14% of all farmers in America, as well as 14 million acres of land was owned by Black farmers. And over the last century, that has whittled down through discrimination in the USDA, as well as a lot of violent and racist attacks on Black farmers directly. And as you can see here, we have the demographics of the CDFA board and commission member, where it's overwhelmingly Caucasian, and the numbers go down. So when we're talking about equity, it's not just on the representation in these organizations, but also how that's reflected on the landscape as well.
Yeah. So the ultimate vision and the goal and the mission of this youth farmer home concept is to engage with farmers, engage with our community all throughout California, to bring people into the process of agriculture from urban to rural. And ultimately, it is to put the Farmer Equity Act in action? How do we implement this report? How do we implement this bill? How do we implement equity? What does equity truly mean? And how can we take the steps towards creating equity? And then ultimately, how do we address the need of land? And we're doing all that simultaneously by accessing land and then training people and then preparing them to be rural farmers and also teaching them how to be urban farmers as well. So that way we can continue to tap into our communities. I represent Los Angeles, and you know, LA is millions of people, but we want to be able to feed ourselves, and we want to be able to make sure that we have systems and infrastructure in place so that way we can not only have farms and grow the food, but also I have a culinary arts background. We want to make sure that we are providing catering companies, we are providing farmers markets, we are providing cafes, we are providing grocery stores, we're providing restaurants. And ultimately, this is the bigger vision of truly creating equity, but it definitely starts with land, and it starts with the process of getting people into the agriculture industry at scale. And that's ultimately what we're doing. We're standing on the elders' backs. The elder has paved the way for us, and the equity committee the equity office has been created, and we accept that the mantle is ours and the mission is ours. And we are working with the equity office and working with different farmers and ultimately figuring out how do we do this. And this is our vehicle that we have found is a way to do it where we can actively get people involved, and then we can create equity amongst each other, and then create equity amongst the entire state, and then ultimately be the beacon that creates equity amongst the entire nation and the world. Yeah, we try and make this thing global. So yeah.
So story short, we're bringing agriculture to the hood. So
yeah,
what the project is.
That part.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's
our TED Talk.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, that's it sounds like there's a lot in store, and I imagine folks are going to be really excited to be following the development of this project. So how do people stay in touch? How do they get involved, or just stay on top of the developments of this project as it goes along?
I would say communicate with our communications director, Tamu, or our finance director, Adam.
Great. And is there a website that we can point people to?
We're developing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Coming soon?
Yeah. TBD. Yeah, there's one, but we want to revamp it before we really pull a full-fledged marketing campaign around it. This is a preliminary meeting just to flesh out our ideas. We have a GoFundMe that we could probably provide a link to, but project and in full flesh in a deck will be forthcoming. Okay, well then we at CAF and the Small Farm Conference will definitely stay tuned and share it when that information is available. But thanks you guys for being here. That was a great presentation, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. So thank you guys. Next up, we have Elena. We're gonna get you set up here for the final presentation.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Hello. Okay, I'm ready. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elena Velez, and I created a program, CRT, for community restorative trainings. It's a program that is based in the Bay Area. I started in Brentwood, actually. I have a farm, Pro Hollow Farm, and I am at the moment presenting sessions, restorative sessions to the farmers. It's been an honor for me. I have had some experience with the agricultural community as a medical interpreter for 16 years. So basically what we have here is understanding that the agricultural field is one of the most important and stressful industries of the United States. So that is being very clear. It's a community that has to be flexible and available for any kind of situation that is presented. So that's the reason I'm here. Based on the information on the Equity Act, we see how diverse of a community we are. So it's just a matter of finding languages and access to information and access to every resource possible and being part and belong to this. So I created this program with the purpose of understanding many of these reasons. A community where such a diversity exists, we need to understand that every mind matters. So we all are important here. Every opinion, every experience brings information to the table, and we must listen to everything and everybody because we belong to this. I like for us to learn how to do this and understand some of the challenges that farming community lives, which are the level of uncertainty in terms of weather, financially, medical availability for farmers, education, resources, and access of information. It's a big deal. Language and cultural differences, it's an important factor. So another challenge is mental health. So having that stigma of not sharing what is happening at home and in the farms, like stress, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, psychosis, schizophrenia, all this stuff that it's around us and is very live at this moment, unfortunately. We must know how to act and respond to this and be part of the community and learn how to participate. Know that we can do this by becoming culturally competent. How can we do that? By listening, respect, understand, accept, and support ourselves and each other. This is for all of us, individually and as a culture. So we need to do that. Listen, respect, understand, accept, and support each other in order to live in this spot and this place and learn about each other. So there is a recovery process that requires us to understand and improve our mental, physical, and emotional health, and that's been my focus. So by trusting yourself, trusting relationships, lifestyle changes, being patient, understanding that life has ups and downs, help each other, being patient, and just rejoin your power. That recovery process is not an instant or an easy to require. It requires work and dedication. It's not a one size fit for all. It doesn't mean that it's kind of a pill that you take and that's it. And it's a destination. We need to live in there and it has a continuous work. It's a process in which we can help each other. So that is the healing and the mitigating of this reality happens to be together. The same way we do it individually, we do it together. How? By our thinking, accepting the level of control we have, behaving in a positive way, having that attitude and accept that in others. And emotionally, how we listen and notice and learn from ourselves and others. So it's being more present. The agricultural community needs to have access to equity. How that equity works is by getting what is needed. It's not the same thing for everybody. We all need different things, like best resources. We need languages help. We need support and laws on education. And just we need kind of have a voice and learn that we can do this. So we complement each other. We are ready to cultivate access to wellness, and that's my purpose. Mentally, physically, and emotionally, we do it individually and in group with people, understanding each other, being part and being present. That's my idea with my program with CRT. So the way it happens is, okay, how we do it together. We just trust someone. We must find somebody, one person at least, to share our thoughts, what we're thinking, and hearing what we're thinking out loud. If there's nobody available, you simply write it down, but say it out loud, to listen to yourself and behave like you are listening to a friend, and just basically saying to that person, hey, this is what is happening, and being nice to yourself and to that person that you're giving advice to. And on the other hand, there is me with my program, Community Restorative Training, where I'm teaching farmers at the moment how to breathe mindfully, how to sleep, relaxing, meditating, stretching, nutrition habits, enjoying life, and ultimately to have emotional intelligence that is not hitting our heads and is not talking bad to ourselves. It's just we need to be mindful of everything we do. Like a farmer 5-minute self-care practice, I created 5 simple minutes. 5 minutes before you wake, you get out of bed, you simply just open your eyes, take a deep breath 3 times, be grateful, and smile at yourself. Don't plan in those 5 minutes. Don't make any plans. Just be present and accept and be grateful. And it can happen. My program is interactive, portable, healthy, is balanced, simple yet an effective practices. It's sustainable. It protects the planet. And it's on your own time and at your own place. It helps you minimize risk of chronic illnesses, minimize chances of work-related injuries, which is the thing that I keep seeing for 16 years. And it's pretty manageable. Here is Farmer Al at Brentwood. I am interviewing him, and that is on my website. So it's Pro Hollow Farm. We have spent already 1.5 years together with the crew. We have the 3 or 4 different trainings per day, a day, and it happens at the frequency that the farmer has. I will adapt to whatever it's available. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour. It's a matter of me adapting to your needs. So here are the guys. We're doing stretching exercises. It's a matter of time and trust. It's taking time, and I know my community. I know how they think. I know how we kind of like not so easy to get into, but they are trusting me and they love to see me. They show me that in their smile, even if it's covered with a mask or not. We are now learning how to read smile through the mask. So they're really happy because having that moment, they're spending 30 minutes doing that, meditating, stretching, and doing all that with me. So I like to appreciate your having me here at this opportunity. I want you to know that you can reach out to me anytime, and I will be happy to visit your farm and do whatever is needed, virtually or in person, as I said. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elena.
Sure.
It certainly, I guess what it brings up for me is, of course, that we're always talking about sustainable agriculture here at the Small Farm Conference. Sure. And I think for a long time, we've thought about sustainability in maybe 1 or 2 realms, but I think what everybody here is talking about in these presentations is about sustainability in a much broader concept, and sustainability meaning you have to sustain your mental health. And we see suicide rates higher amongst farmers than most other industries. And also the sustainability of our communities, of our social fabric, of making sure that people have a sense of equity in agriculture. And that's just as important as the carbon content of your soil, right? And so I really appreciate y'all bringing the human element to agriculture. And agriculture is nothing without humans and the people on those farms and the communities they feed. So thank you guys so much. Those were really inspiring, thought-provoking presentations. And there's more information in the chat there. We can send out follow-up links. Folks want to learn more, but check out all these folks. Community restorative training. Check out the Farmer Equity Act through CDFA. Check out the second generation seeds, and stay tuned for what's coming over at UFarm. We're going to be really excited to see how that develops. So thank you guys so much. We'll hope to see you at the next workshop. Lots more in store for the next couple of days. Thank you all for being here.